It's a gathering of top government officials, private sector players, and young people who are represented here by members of the Nigeria Youth Service Corps as the Nigerian Institute of Public Relations launched the Nigeria Reputation Management Group in Abuja. Born out of the realization of the country's image on the global scene, the Nigeria Reputation Management Group will drive a new narrative that will challenge the stereotypes.
We are here to unveil what will become Nigeria's biggest possible transformation pillar and driver, the Reputation Project. The reputation of our country needs some help. Today's event is NIPR's robust response to the call.
The initiative is both government and citizens driven with enormous shared responsibility.
Nigeria's reputation, again I repeat, needs a radical transformation. And I'm not referring to our standing on international rankings. Instead, I'm talking about the reputation that is built on the integrity of our institutions, the transparency of our leadership, and the well-being of our people. So today I offer a charge. First, to our politicians and leaders. The mandate that you politicians hold is a sacred trust, not a personal opportunity for enrichment. Ethical leadership must become the standard, not the exception. And to the citizens, I urge you to remember that the future of our country lies not only in the hands of our leaders, but in our own actions. We cannot demand integrity from others if we do not hold ourselves accountable.
The way people are using social media to destroy individuals, to destroy the nation, is absolutely unacceptable. It's very, very bad indeed. Because you see, we can all work together and have a good reputation for the Federal Republic of Nigeria. One or two people can just destroy it. And this program will not go anywhere if the people of Nigeria continue to do what we are doing now, destroying the very basis of our existence.
Honorable Minister of Foreign Affairs.
Nigeria can boast of an array of sons and daughters who are making Africa proud on the global stage. However, the negative behavior of a few have mostly been spotlighted by social and mainstream media, a development the government urges citizens to challenge.
Nigerians, both at home and in the diaspora, are the primary ambassadors of our national brand. Every interaction, every social media post, and every business transaction contributes to how Nigeria is perceived globally.
We must find a way of striking a true balance between, especially for the media, reporting accurately, objectively, and also being patriotic about your country.
The high point of the event is the digital launch, which highlights the pivotal role, professionalism, trust, communication, inclusivity, and ownership in the new drive to recreate Nigeria's reputation nationally and internationally.
Well, yeah, I mean, I have to blow my cheeks out because it's a task, I tell you. Mr. Yomi Okunsanya is here with he's the president, African Public Relations Association, having served in the NIPR for a long time. Good morning, thank you for coming out today.
Good morning, Chamberlain. But let me say, I'm here as the DG of the Nigeria Reputation Management Group.
Yes, I should add that.
What a task to take on.
Yeah, I mean, whenever I sit down and think about this, I feel just, it's something, it's a lot, you know.
Yeah.
Is it when you travel? Is it when you're even in your own country? Is it when you see some things happen? Or is it when you're driving out there? There's just so many moving parts.
Too many things.
Too many moving parts. How do you go about this? Where do you start from?
Well, for so long, the gates of our national reputation gate has been left unmanned. And that's why all of this have happened. And so the Nigerian Institute of Public Relations decided that that must stop. There must be a deliberate and intentional effort at manning the gates of our nation's reputation. And that's why this came about. The origins of this started in 2021 when we had what we call the Citizen Summit of the Nigerian Institute of Public Relations. So we went around the 6 zones and the Federal Capital Territory, and of course, even one for diaspora. And we gauged the minds of Nigerians. And then we had a Citizen Summit in 2022. And one of the fallouts was we should come up with what we call the Nigeria Reputation Management Group. And the whole essence of it is that while another group talks about the economy, we must talk about the reputation. You cannot have a great economy without reputation. And reputation also goes with the economy, vice versa. They work in tandem. And so we realized the enormity of the task ahead of us. And we felt that the Nigerian Institute of Public Relations was best positioned, or is best positioned, to be able to deliver on this mandate, because we are the ones who have been trained professionally to deal with issues of reputation. We have chapters in 36 states of the country, and then, of course, the FCT. And so we believe that, yeah, no matter how onerous, no matter how demanding, no matter how tasking it may be, we must start it. And that's what we launched on Tuesday.
My own mind is actually thinking, I mean, the word that comes to my mind when I look at and think about the group is ambitious. I'm like,
audacious. I think the word you're looking for is audacious. We're being audacious.
Yeah,
I agree with
audacious,
you.
yes. So this is also ambitious because we have since realized that, you know, it takes, I mean, 200 million people now have access to the outside world. This is not something that, or you say, you know, there's only one gate. There are now numerous gates.
That's right.
So you have to ask yourself, when you say that there is a reputation management group, will they have to be signed up to you, or precisely what are you going to be doing? Because here we are. Just yesterday, the Vice President, Kashim Shettima, was speaking to investors in Sweden. And they were saying, oh, you know, it's not, Nigeria is not what you hear. It's so much better than what you hear. It's still the place to do business, etc., etc. Right. He goes on to say that, but citizens are living these experiences daily, and a number of them are speaking up. I think it was one of the guests or one of your respondents who was making reference to social media, you know, and they're sharing their experiences on social media as they feel it. So how do you intend to marry that with what it is that you're setting out to do with the reputation management group?
Okay, let me say, in terms of social mobilization, it has been done in this country before. And I'm sure many of us remember MAMSA, and we had Professor Jerry Gana, who was the driver of MAMSA there. And
who was the one decrying social media, by the way?
Yes, I mean, the complexities have changed.
Yes.
But it still doesn't mean we cannot work it. The truth of the matter is that if you do not have a set of what I would call core values or guiding principles, let's talk about guardrails that Nigerians must hold and bring it to the consciousness, to their consciousness. Let me give you an example. Although it was the military era, so maybe not exactly. Why? War against indiscipline. And till today, when you go to Yaba bus stop, people still queue. They still queue at Yaba bus stop. If you are going to University of Lagos, I still see them when I drive past. And it shows you that it is possible. With leadership, with vision, you can do it. Nature abhors a vacuum. And if you have not if you've let certain things unattended, these are the consequences that we are suffering from. But when we come back and we bring back like a reawakening of some of those core values, nobody wants to live, oh well, let me not say that. Most people don't want to live in a lawless society. Most people don't want to live in a society that things are done anyhow. So, and I always give this example, and I'm sure you've experienced it. You're driving and you're on your lane and somebody pulls out on the opposite, pulls out, faces traffic, and you're looking at him thinking that at the end of the road, where there's a policeman, he'll be arrested or he'll be reprimanded. And then he gets there and nothing happens. So there are no consequences for bad behavior. And then the tendency is that the next person will pull out, the next person will pull out, and before you know it, all of us
will pull out.
You pull out. So when we say to you, you can't do that. So one of the things, and maybe I'm sure we'll get there, one of the things we are going to launch is a reputation charter. And what does a reputation charter do? It gives you the do's and don'ts as an organization, as an individual. This act I'm about to engage in, this act I'm about to undertake, does it improve the reputation of Nigeria or does it take away from it? And one of our core values is ownership, which means that the issue of Nigeria's reputation does not lie with the government. Or let me say it doesn't lie with the government only. That's why we call this a private sector-led initiative. It's a private sector-led initiative, whereby we will say to people that it starts with you and I. Let's ask ourselves. I mean, there are times that I'm in a hurry too, and my driver knows that I'm in a hurry, and he's thinking of, and I can almost read his thoughts, and I say, you don't dare. You don't dare, because I am in this car. Even if I am not in this car, some of our cars carry badges. So you work for Channels. So can you imagine you have a badge of Channels and you're driving against traffic? So there are many issues that have to do with the reputation of the country. And we want to bring it to the consciousness of every Nigerian that when you do this, does it help or does it take away?
Quite a few things. When you speak about that, the queuing example, and then you talk about governments, the role they have to play. But there are a few things that also come up. Because, for instance, in that same Yaba where they queue opposites, you see how chaotic it is when they don't queue, they just do whichever way. But when they queue, you see that those campus shuttle, they know there's a leadership right there on campus that tell them, no, this is how this thing should go. And so when you're ever going to enter all those buses, you know that, look, the buses are there anyway. There's coordination, there's leadership, some type of leadership, whichever way. But on the other side, that's why I ask about the government role. No matter how much the private sector does, how do you quantify or can you even measure the essence, the role that the authorities have got to play? Because so many people now, they see what these chaps do up there, and they just take a leading from all of those.
Okay, so you're quite right. I'm a firm believer of that everything rises and falls with leadership. And that's why even the Nigerian Institute of Public Relations, we are setting up a university, and it's a university of public relations and leadership. So we are putting leadership first. And what this NRMG is doing is that it's not a trumpet for government. We're also going to hold government accountable. So it starts with you. As I was coming to the station now, early this morning, rain, light traffic, I see a governor's convoy blowing the siren when there's even no traffic. So what is the siren about? Is it a symbol of authority? Is it a symbol of oppression? What it is? Look, I understand that maybe if you're a senior government official, I don't really think you should have a siren. And you know what? Some of us, they've been held to standard. When Babatunde Raji Fashola was the governor of Lagos State, he didn't use sirens and he got the business done. He was one of the most effective governors we've had in this country. And it shows that it's not about the sirens. It's not about the sirens. So those are some of the things that we will be putting forth. Let me just quickly share with you the core values of the Nigerian Reputation Management Group. Ethics, commitment to constitution, respect of law, rules, regulation, and professional ethics that ensures Nigeria's adherence to rule of law, and ethical conduct. 2, professionalism. We will strive for a strong national professional base that guarantees high national productivity based on merit and excellence. Look at what happened in Edo. An artisan fabricated a CNG cylinder. I mean, we can teach you to do it right. Do it right. Don't do things. I mean, it was a friend of mine who came he visited, he's an architect, and he visited Nigeria. And he says, you know, if you look at the walls, even the plastering of walls, do you know most of our walls are not even? So when you take it even from the level of artisans, so we're promoting professional trust. Nigeria is operating in a huge trust deficit. So that even when government tells you the truth, you do not believe them. And therefore, that trust gap must be filled. And then number 4, communication, effective communication. Because advocacy is key to learning, you know, what we call mindsets, to change mindsets, inclusivity, bringing everybody in. And that's the fact that it's not just this person, it's just that all of us are in it. And then finally, ownership. It starts with you and I. As difficult as it may sound, if you and I do what we ought to do, you know, there's this, what do we call it? Is it a song? Is it a hymn? This little light of mine, I'm going to make it, I'm going to let it shine. So if I let my light shine, Mark lets his light shine, Chamberlain and Ayo, we've done our bit. And it will be infectious, and I believe that.
Well, I know that Ayo cannot wait to get into this conversation because Ayo has been on and on about national values, you know,
and ethics.
And
he and I, we've had conversations about this, and I know how passionate he can be. Look, do you know our slogan for the Nigeria Reputation Management Group?
Yeah.
Reputation first. Mr. President, reputation first.
So let me ask you, I mean, is this something, is this a closed membership group, or are you going to be admitting Nigerians?
All Nigerians. You see, this is not it's led by the institute, but we realize that it's a national movement. So we're not going to be saying that if you're not a member of NIPR, you can volunteer. And even indeed, on that day, we found many people, young people. There were this young, the students, they drove in from Jos. Students, I don't know where they got the money, 2 students, and they said, look, we read about this thing and we want to be part of it. And we need especially the young people because they're the next generation. And they're the ones that, if you have a youngster, I have a 25-year-old, they really don't want to know about Nigeria because they feel that the system has failed them. If there are those of them who live outside the country, they don't want to come back. And for those who are inside the country, they don't want to watch. You and I, we had that conversation on Tuesday with the chairman. They don't want to watch channels. They don't want to watch any of this. Not because it's channel per se. They just feel that all of us are embodiment of this problem or this letting them down as a country where their aspirations are not met. So when we saw the students from Unijos, the president of NIPR, the least we could do was to fund their return because they said they just read about it. I met another young lady 2 days ago who said she just read about it and she showed up. So you know what that means? There's an appetite for change. Nigerians are just looking for the group or the person to lead them to that place. And NIPR has taken that role on.
Yeah.
Thank you. You know, well, just hold your gunpowder, Mr. Okunsanya. You know, let me just go straight to it. This question is going to sound like a curveball, but perhaps just to put it out there, reputation can be positive or negative. So when we talk about Nigeria's reputation that we want to manage, what exactly are we talking about? Let's begin from there. Because there are those who would say, I mean, you talked about the fact that if you don't have a good reputation, you can't have a good economy. Looking at it from the private sector, if you don't have a good reputation, you cannot build a brand because your brand is your reputation, what you can do, the trust, the promise you make, and that you deliver on over time. So what is Nigeria's reputation that we want to build on? The one we have now
is not what we want. So what's the Nigerian reputation we want to build?
Okay, so what is reputation? The reputation is as a result of the character that you show, and the character that you show is as a result of the values that you hold. Now, what is the reputation of Nigeria? You can answer that, I'm sure. We all know that when you mention Nigeria, what comes to mind? I don't want to repeat the negatives here, but we all know that in many places, or when we've traveled out of the country, we've been pulled over, we've been delayed, people have viewed us with a lot of suspicion, and so on and so forth, because of the activities of a few bad eggs. And that seems to be, has become the predominant reputation of Nigeria. Some people will argue with you that reputation is positive, that you can't have a bad reputation, because if it's a bad reputation, then it's no reputation. But for the sake of argument, let me take it that somebody says you have a bad reputation. So there are things about us that don't go well. One biggest thing is a trust. There's a trust deficit. Let's take it internal and external. So we're not just talking about the external, we're not talking about how foreigners view us. How do we even view ourselves? So Nigerians don't trust government. I'm not sure the government trusts the people. And you understand, there's just this huge trust deficit. And let me say to you, the only license any organization has to operate is trust. The only reason why people are tuning into you channels is because they believe that what they hear from you is their facts. The minute they imagine that what you're giving out is not accurate, they will stop listening to you. The only reason why you have me here is because you trust that I will contribute to your program. If I'm unable to do that, you will not have me in this chair. So the first thing we need to do is that we need to rebuild the trust amongst the various stakeholders in Nigeria.
And I dare say
the police.
Yeah. And I dare say
the police probably doesn't trust the young people.
Unfortunately. And I dare say, that really is the first step, building that trust. It's depleted over time, a long time ago. I find an oxymoron of sorts. Nigerians love Nigeria. Nigerians love Nigeria. However, what do you love about Nigeria? Oh, Nigeria is just wonderful. Okay. How do you represent Nigeria? We find that difficult. We don't trust government officials because, just as you said, people don't have this trust for government officials, no matter what level they are. But we love Nigeria. So what is the Nigerian icon that is going to help us build this trust, that we're going to build this trust on? How do we begin to rebuild that trust? You talked about communication and the role it has to play. Perception, right now, we know where it is. So how do we begin the process of building this trust so that we can build this perception?
Very easy. And I'll tell you why. Let's find out what are those things that led to the trust deficit. And when I mean the trust deficit, I'm not talking about in government, just about this administration. It's over the years. Take, for instance, this subsidy. We've been hearing this story for a long time now. And said, oh, if we take away this amount of money, we use it to build roads, we're not supposed to be here. If we're done what we ought to have done, maybe Nigerians will not be sure. I mean, take the issue of even the refineries, the fixing of refineries. The goalpost keeps changing, keeps moving. So let's go back to where it started from. What led to the trust deficit? The fact that government, and I'm not talking about just this government, I'm talking about government as a whole, and over the years, have been insincere with the people. The politicians have been insincere with the people. We make promises that we are unable to keep. So we must promote transparency. We must promote integrity, that you will say something and people will find you there. You will say to us that, guys, let's tighten our belts, all right? And we see you also being squeezed. We don't see you with any belts. You understand? And I'm not speaking to any government in particular. I'm speaking across the board. So once government begins to show signs of commitment to the people, honestly, look, I always give this example, and we all have children. Let me tell you what. Let me tell you a story. There's somebody I know, and when they were growing up, her father always said to them, "This year we are going for summer," because you know what, we are going on summer holidays because many of her colleagues or friends were going on summer, so she would have boasted to her friends that, "Oh, we're going on summer holiday," and then it comes and it never happens. And guess what? The first money she had of her own, what did she use it to do? To go on a summer holiday. So when you get home and you say to your child, "I'm going to buy you a bicycle," and he goes on to tell his friends that my dad says he's going to buy me a bicycle, and his birthday comes, and he says, "Daddy, where's that bicycle?" And he says, "I'll bring it home tomorrow." And then you do it again, What do? You begin to erode the trust that child has for you. And it's the same thing that not just our government, other stakeholders, because even in private sector, it occurs. So don't let me look as if I'm lampooning government alone. Even we as citizens, we need to rebuild that trust.
Well, I see the mission and then the vision. Some of these core values are also hugely important. I also see the focus here.
Yes.
Reputation summits. Yes. You're going to have Nigeria Reputation Day, Nigeria Reputation Charter, Reputation Champions, Advisory. There's going to be a workshop.
An annual reputation. Let me just quickly take the summit.
Yeah.
So every year we're going to have a gathering just along the lines or in what happens in the economy. And we're going to talk about what are those things that we need to do to help our reputation. That's very key. So every year there will be that summit.
Okay.
Focus just on reputation. What have we done right? What have we done wrong? Then we're also proposing October 15 of every year as the Nigeria Reputation Day that will be celebrated both locally and globally. On that day, the focus and attention will be on Nigeria's reputation and pushing those things that would enhance it and de-emphasizing those things that will erode from it. We're also going to have talked about the reputation charter.
Yeah.
We're looking for reputation champions because nowadays you find that we have very few models, role models to go by. Our role models, I'm sorry to say, a very quick one. There's a gentleman who said he went to his village and he sat with his uncle, and then this young man came in. I said, "Oh, is that not so?" Person said, "Yeah, he's doing very well. Oh. He's really doing very well." And so he turns to his uncle and says, "What's he doing?" He says, "He's doing Yahoo." Whoa. So he says, "Uncle, he's doing Yahoo and you're saying he's doing very well?" He said, "Leave that thing. It's the money that these colonialists took from us. And he said he had to leave the function because he couldn't believe that his father's brother could speak like that. And that is the role model that's role model we're beginning to give to our children. I don't want to mention other names, but you know what? So we need to readdress that. Who are the role models when we were growing up? You guys are broadcasters. I'm sure you must have watched NTA or any of those stations and you have said, "I like the way John Momo cast the news. I want to be like him. I want to be like this person. So we want to bring that back. We'll have an annual reputation report, which means a concise report which will track what we're doing. So which areas are we doing well and which areas are we not doing? What are those things that are giving us down markers and what are those things that are giving us up markers? And of course, advisory services to various organizations, and then workshops that we'll carry around and we will enhance, just to train people or enlighten them on things they can and they should do. That like I said, this little light of mine, I'm going to let it shine in my corner. If I do it in my business, you do it in your business. And then finally, advocacy. We're going to embark on a lot of advocacy. This is part of what we're doing here. Thanks to you guys.
Anytime. As a matter of fact, I think it's something that everyone needs to be on board, because I mean, there are the people in different parts of the country who are doing things, and then it would not be out of place for at least wherever we are, whoever you are, they can recognize those people, because they need a pat on the back. Because I mean, such people, they are leading lights, and people can also, you don't have to be up there to be a leader. Wherever you are, you can lead from where you are. So
that's right.
It's something that we welcome anytime, any day. It's one country, the only one we have at that. So there's only one Nigeria, actually. So yes, we wish yourself and the entire team, and of course the country, well, because I mean, if it is not well, where would we be? So we thank you for coming on, and we wish you all the best in whichever way that we can help.
You can be rest assured we are going to be knocking on your door. We are going to be. I see myself or other members of my team being here repeatedly, because only yesterday I was speaking to regulators across Nigeria, and I was saying to them, you know, are you as regulators, do you scare us, or do you? Are we happy with you? So when I hear EFCC or another regulator, NERC or NCC, am I afraid?
Or are you in bed with them?
You understand? So they should make me comfortable. It's part of, and don't forget what we say, reputation first. Because when you think reputation first, your attitude or your approach to everything changes completely. Reputation first. Thank you.
Yes, it's time to celebrate those out there who are doing whatever they're doing to make sure somebody's life is better. So it doesn't matter which corner you are in, we will try and find you and celebrate you, because you are those who we should actually celebrate. I think we'll do that a lot more and focus on those kinds of people, because
that's right.
That's what reputation management also needs, I might add. So thank you again.
Thank you very much for having me, and I look forward to coming back again.
Absolutely. Always welcome.